The phone rang at 7 in the morning, jolting me awake from the first peaceful sleep I'd had in weeks. I knew before I even looked at the screen who it would be. Jessica. My daughter only called when she wanted something, and lately, those calls had been coming more and more frequently. Mom, I need money. No hello. No asking how I was feeling. Just straight to the point, like I was some kind of ATM machine with a heartbeat. I sat up in my small bedroom, looking at the framed photo of my late husband Tom on the nightstand. His gentle eyes seemed to be watching me, waiting to see what I would do this time. Good morning to you too, sweetheart, I said, trying to keep the hurt out of my voice. How's little Emma doing? She's fine, but that's not why I'm calling. Brandon lost another job, and we need money for Emma's things. Diapers, formula, clothes. You know how expensive babies are. My heart sank. This was the third job Brandon had lost this year. I pulled my old robe tighter around my shoulders and walked to my tiny kitchen, where bills were stacked on the counter like a tower of my own worries. Jessica, honey, I've been helping you and Brandon for 5 years now. I paid your rent last month and the month before that, and, Mom, this is different. This is about your granddaughter. Surely you care about Emma's well-being more than some money. The way she said it made my stomach twist. Like I was selfish for even hesitating. Like the thousands of dollars I'd given them over the years meant nothing. I'm Susan, and if this story is touching your heart, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. I would love to know where you're watching this from. Don't forget to ring the notification bell, because every day I'm bringing you stories of women who turn their deepest pain into a new good way of living their lives. How much do you need this time? I asked, already knowing I'd probably say yes like I always did. 2,000. Maybe 3. We'll pay you back as soon as Brandon finds something. $3,000. I looked at my own empty refrigerator, at the bills I'd been putting off, at the medication I'd been rationing to make it last longer. I need to think about it, I whispered. The line went dead. She'd hung up on me. In that moment, sitting in my quiet kitchen with the dial tone echoing in my ear, something inside me finally cracked. As I stared at my phone after Jessica hung up, memories came flooding back like pages from a book I'd tried so hard to forget. 5 years. Had it really been that long since this all started? I remember the day clearly. Jessica had just gotten engaged to Brandon, her eyes sparkling with excitement as she showed me the ring. She was 23 then, fresh out of college, full of dreams about their perfect life together. Mom, we found the most amazing condo downtown, she'd said, bouncing on my old couch like she was still a little girl. It's everything we've ever wanted. Modern kitchen, city view, walking distance to all the best restaurants. That sounds wonderful, honey. What does the rent look like? Her face had fallen slightly. Well, it's a bit more than we expected. $2,800 a month. But Mom, it's our dream place. And Brandon's going to get promoted soon at his marketing job. We just need a little help getting started. A little help. Those words echoed in my mind now as I walked to my bedroom closet and pulled out the shoebox where I kept all my financial records. Inside were bank statements, receipts, and a small notebook where I'd been tracking every penny I'd given them. $2,800 for rent. Every single month for 5 years. That was $168,000 just in rent alone. I sat on my bed and opened the notebook with trembling fingers. There it was, written in my careful handwriting. Wedding expenses, $15,000. I dipped into my retirement savings for that. Jessica had wanted everything perfect. The dress, the flowers, the reception at that fancy hotel by the lake. Mom, you understand this is a once-in-a-lifetime day, right? She'd said when I gently suggested maybe a smaller venue. I can't start my marriage feeling like we settled for less. Then came the furniture for their new place. Another $8,000. The emergency dental work for Brandon. $3,200. Jessica's car repair. $4,500. Christmas gifts for Brandon's family because they wanted to make a good impression. $2,000. The pages kept turning, each entry a small piece of my heart and my future I'd given away willingly. I worked double shifts at the hospital for 3 years after Tom died, My feet aching so badly I'd soak them in ice water every night. The other nurses were kind, but I could see the worry in their eyes. "Susan, you're pushing too hard," my supervisor had said. "You're 62. You should be thinking about slowing down, not picking up extra shifts." But how could I slow down when Jessica needed me? I remembered the phone calls. Always starting the same way. "Mom, I hate to ask, but..." Then would come the story. Brandon's commissions were down. Jessica needed new work clothes for a job interview. The condo's air conditioning broke and they needed it fixed immediately. Car insurance was due, and they were just a little short. I never said no. Not once. Tom's voice whispered in my memory. He'd been gone 6 years now, but I could still hear him clearly, sitting at our kitchen table with his morning coffee, reading the newspaper. "Susie, love, you're going to spoil that girl if you're not careful. She needs to learn the value of $1. She's our baby, Tom," I'd always responded. "I just want her to be happy." Happy and responsible are two different things, he'd said, folding his paper and looking at me with those wise brown eyes. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone you love is let them struggle a little. If only I'd listened. I flipped through more pages. The notebook showed a pattern I'd been too loving, too hopeful to see. Every time I helped, Jessica's requests got bigger. Started with a few hundred here and there, then thousands. And the gratitude that used to come with her requests gradually disappeared. The last time Jessica had actually said thank you was 2 years ago. Now the calls were demands, expectations, as if my bank account belonged to her as much as it did to me. I walked to my kitchen and opened the refrigerator. A half-empty carton of milk, some leftover soup from 3 days ago, and a wilted head of lettuce. I'd been buying generic brands, skipping meals, postponing my own doctor's appointments to save money. Money that went straight to Jessica's perfect life. My neighbor Maggie's words from last week came back to me. She'd knocked on my door with a plate of fresh cookies, her Irish accent thick with concern. "Susan, love, I don't mean to pry, but I've noticed you've been looking awfully thin lately. Are you taking care of yourself?" I'd brushed off her concern then, but now I wondered. When was the last time I'd bought myself something new? When had I last gone out for dinner, or taken a vacation, or even bought the name-brand coffee I used to love? Everything had gone to Jessica. Everything. I thought about my retirement account, once healthy and promising. Tom and I had saved for 30 years, dreaming about traveling, maybe buying a little cottage by the lake. Now it was nearly empty, drained by my daughter's endless needs. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd spent my entire career as a nurse, taking care of people, healing them, making sure they had what they needed to be healthy and whole. But I'd forgotten to take care of myself. I closed the notebook and held it against my chest. $196,000. That's what the total came to. Nearly $200,000 I'd given to a daughter who hung up on me when I didn't immediately say yes to her latest demand. For the first time in 5 years, I felt something besides guilt and worry. I felt angry. 3 days passed before I heard from Jessica again. 3 days of me staring at my phone, wondering if she would call to apologize for hanging up on me, or at least ask how I was doing. She didn't. When she finally called, her tone was ice cold. "Mom, I need that money today. Emma needs formula, and we're completely out." Something in her voice made my blood run cold. There was no warmth, no affection. I was talking to a stranger who happened to share my DNA. "Jessica, I've been thinking." "There's nothing to think about, Mom. This is your granddaughter we're talking about." After she hung up again, I sat in my living room feeling more alone than I had since Tom died. That's when I heard a gentle knock on my door. Maggie stood there with 2 steaming cups of tea and a look of determination I'd never seen before. "Right then, Susan Mitchell," she said, pushing past me into my apartment. "We're having a proper talk, and I won't take no for an answer." She set the tea down on my coffee table and fixed me with those sharp brown eyes. "How much money have you given that girl?" "Maggie, I don't think, how much?" Her Irish accent got thicker when she was serious. I found myself telling her everything. The rent payments, the wedding, the endless emergencies. When I finished, Maggie was quiet for a long moment. Susan, love, you're being played like a fiddle. She's my daughter. She needs help. Does she now? Maggie pulled out her phone. Let me show you something. My granddaughter follows Jessica on that Instagram thing. She scrolled through photos, and my heart sank with each one. Jessica at expensive restaurants. Brandon with a new gaming setup that must have cost thousands. Shopping bags from high-end stores. A photo from just 2 days ago showing Jessica getting her nails done at a salon that charged more for one appointment than I spent on groceries in a month. This was posted yesterday, Maggie said, showing me a picture of Jessica and Brandon at a wine tasting event. Does this look like people who can't afford baby formula? My hands shook as I looked at the photos. In every single one, Jessica looked happy, carefree, surrounded by expensive things. Things I had paid for while eating soup for dinner 3 nights in a row. Before we continue, make sure to like this video and subscribe. With your support, we can keep bringing more stories from powerful women that touch the heart of all of us. I need to call my son David, I whispered. David answered on the second ring. Mom, how are you holding up? David, I need to ask you something, and I want you to be honest with me. Do you know about the money I've been giving Jessica? There was a long pause. Mom, how much money are we talking about? When I told him, I heard him take a sharp breath. Mom, Jessica told Brandon's parents that you guys were well off and that helping them out was no big deal for you. Well off? I laughed bitterly. I've been eating crackers for lunch so I could send her rent money. Mom, there's something else you need to know. Last month at their housewarming party. Yes, they had a party. Jessica was bragging to everyone about how she never has to worry about money because you always come through. She called you her backup plan. The words hit me like a physical blow. Backup plan. That's all I was to her. David, I think I've made a terrible mistake. Mom, you're the most generous person I know, but Jessica has been taking advantage of that. Brandon's parents think he and Jessica are completely self-sufficient. They have no idea you're paying their bills. After I hung up with David, Maggie and I sat in silence. Finally, she spoke up. You know what you need to do, don't you? That evening, I did something I'd never done before. I looked through Jessica's social media accounts myself. What I found made me sick to my stomach. Not only were there photos of expensive purchases and fancy dinners, but there were posts making fun of older people who don't understand how hard it is to be young today. One post in particular stopped me cold. It was a photo of a designer baby stroller that cost over $1,200, with the caption, "Thanks to my amazing hubby for this gorgeous stroller for our princess. Some people work hard for what they want. #blessed, #hardwork, no handouts, no handouts." I stared at those words until they blurred through my tears. The next morning, I made a decision that terrified and empowered me at the same time. I called Jessica. Oh good Mom, I was just about to call you. Did you transfer the money yet? Also, I saw this amazing stroller online, and I think Emma really needs it. It's only $1,200, and it's an investment piece that will last for years. Jessica, I need to tell you something. Can it wait? I'm meeting friends for brunch, and I'm already running late. No, it can't wait. My voice was steadier than I'd heard it in years. I found your Instagram posts. Dead silence. I saw the photos of the expensive dinners, the shopping trips, the new electronics. I saw the post about the stroller, where you talk about working hard with no handouts. Mom, I can explain. I also spoke with your brother. He told me some very interesting things about what you've been telling people about our family's financial situation. I could hear her breathing getting faster. Mom, you're misunderstanding. Am I? Jessica, I've given you nearly $200,000 over the past 5 years. $200,000 while I've been living on soup and crackers, while I've been postponing my own medical appointments, while I've emptied my retirement savings. You offered to help, she shouted, her mask finally slipping. I never forced you to give us anything. You're right. I offered. But what I didn't offer was to be lied to, manipulated, and treated like an ATM machine. What I didn't offer was to sacrifice my own health and future so you could live a lifestyle you haven't earned. How dare you judge my lifestyle? You have no idea how hard it is to raise a baby. Then maybe it's time you learned. The line went quiet except for Jessica's rapid breathing. What's that supposed to mean? It means, sweetheart, that the bank of Mom is officially closed. The silence on the phone stretched for what felt like an eternity after I told Jessica the bank of Mom was closed. When she finally spoke, her voice was a mixture of disbelief and rage. You can't be serious. Mom, this is Emma we're talking about. Your own granddaughter. What kind of grandmother abandons her family? Those words stung, but I'd found my strength, and I wasn't going to let her manipulate me anymore. Jessica, I'm not abandoning anyone. I'm teaching you what your father tried to teach you years ago about responsibility. Don't you dare bring Dad into this, she screamed. He would never let his granddaughter go without. Your father would be ashamed of what you've become, I said quietly, and I heard her gasp. He would be heartbroken to see how you've treated me, how you've lied and manipulated your way through life. Fine. She spat. You want to play hardball? I'll show you hardball. Don't expect to see Emma again. Don't expect to be part of our lives if you're going to be selfish and cruel. She hung up, but this time, instead of feeling guilty, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years, relief. 2 days later, David called me. Mom, Jessica called me crying, saying you've lost your mind and that you're abandoning your family. She wants me to talk sense into you. And what did you tell her? I told her it was about time someone called her out on her behavior. Mom, I'm proud of you. It took courage to do what you did. She says I won't see Emma anymore. Mom, she's just trying to manipulate you. She'll be back. People like Jessica always come back when their free money dries up. He was right. 3 days after our phone call, Jessica showed up at my door unannounced. But she wasn't alone. She had Brandon with her, and they were both carrying themselves like they were about to wage war. Mom, we need to talk, Jessica said, pushing past me into my apartment without being invited. Brandon followed, looking uncomfortable but determined. Mrs. Mitchell, I think there's been a misunderstanding. The only misunderstanding, I said, closing the door and turning to face them, is that you two seem to think I'm obligated to fund your lifestyle indefinitely. Jessica's face was flushed with anger. How can you be so heartless? We have a baby. Yes, you do. And that baby is your responsibility, not mine. But we can't afford. You can afford wine tastings and designer strollers and expensive dinners, I interrupted. I've seen your Instagram posts, Jessica. I know exactly what you can afford. Brandon shifted uncomfortably. Look, Mrs. Mitchell, maybe we haven't been completely honest about our situation, but, completely honest? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Brandon, you haven't been even partially honest. Jessica told your parents that I was well off and that helping you was no big deal for me. Meanwhile, I've been living like a pauper to fund your luxury lifestyle. Jessica's eyes narrowed. You've been spying on us. That's pathetic, even for you. What's pathetic is a 28-year-old woman who thinks her mother owes her a living. What's pathetic is lying about working hard when you've never had to struggle for anything in your life because I made sure of it. We do work hard. Brandon protested. When? Between your job losses and Jessica's shopping trips? When exactly do you work hard? Jessica stood up abruptly, her face twisted with rage. I can't believe this. You're supposed to be my mother. You're supposed to support me. I have supported you. For 5 years, I've supported you to the tune of nearly $200,000. I've supported you while denying myself basic necessities. I've supported you until I had nothing left to give. 200,000? Brandon's face went pale. Jessica, you told me it was maybe 30 or 40,000 total. Jessica whirled on him. Shut up, Brandon. No, I won't shut up. Jessica, your mother has given us $200,000? And you told me she was just helping with rent occasionally. Brandon, don't. Mrs. Mitchell, Brandon said, turning to me with genuine shock in his eyes. I had no idea. Jessica told me you were well off and that helping us was something you wanted to do. She said it made you feel good to help your family. It did make me feel good, I said quietly. But it stopped feeling good when the gratitude disappeared, when the requests became demands, when my own daughter started treating me like an ATM instead of a person. Jessica was pacing now, her hands clenched into fists. This is ridiculous. I shouldn't have to grovel for help from my own mother. You're right, I said. You shouldn't have to. You should be able to support yourself and your family like every other adult. But what about Emma? Jessica's voice cracked, and for a moment, I saw a flicker of the little girl she used to be. What about your granddaughter? What about her, Jessica? Do you think I don't love her? Do you think this doesn't break my heart? Then why are you doing this? I walked to my kitchen table and picked up the notebook where I'd tracked every payment, every sacrifice. Because I want Emma to grow up with a mother who's responsible and independent. I want her to learn that love isn't measured in dollar bills. I want her to have a grandmother who's healthy and stable, not one who's worked herself into an early grave trying to fund someone else's dreams. I opened the notebook and set it on the coffee table. Brandon, take a look at this. See exactly how much your wife has cost me over the years. See how many times she's lied to you about where the money was coming from. Brandon leaned forward and began reading. His face grew paler with each page. Jessica, this says you got $8,000 for furniture in 1 month. You told me your mother just bought us a few things. Brandon, I can explain. And $15,000 for our wedding? You told me your mother just helped with a few small expenses. Brandon, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. He stood up, his face a mixture of anger and embarrassment. I understand that my wife has been lying to me for our entire relationship. I understand that I've been living off her mother's retirement money without even knowing it. Brandon, please, no, Jessica. This is wrong. This is so incredibly wrong. He turned to me. Mrs. Mitchell, I am so sorry. I had no idea. If I had known the truth about any of this, I would have stopped it years ago. Jessica was crying now, but they were angry tears, not remorseful ones. Fine. You want to side with her? Both of you can go to hell. I don't need either of you. Yes, you do, I said quietly. You need us more than you've ever been willing to admit. But need and deserve are two different things. What's that supposed to mean? It means that for the first time in your adult life, you're going to have to figure things out on your own. It means that Emma is going to get to see what her parents are really made of. Jessica stormed toward the door, but Brandon didn't follow her. Mrs. Mitchell, what can I do to make this right? You can take care of your wife and daughter without my money. You can get a job and keep it. You can teach Jessica what responsibility looks like. He nodded, looking ashamed. And Emma? Will you still want to see her? My heart ached. Of course I want to see her. But not like this. Not with money being held over my head as the price of admission to my granddaughter's life. Jessica spun around from the doorway. So that's it? You're choosing money over family. No, Jessica. You chose money over family years ago. I'm choosing self-respect over being used. The door slammed behind them, rattling the pictures on my wall. I stood in my quiet apartment, my heart pounding, wondering if I'd just made the biggest mistake of my life. But for the first time in 5 years, I felt like I could breathe. 3 months passed before I heard from Jessica again. 3 months of silence that felt both heartbreaking and liberating. During that time, I did something I hadn't done in years. I focused on myself. The first thing I did was go to the doctor for a complete checkup. I'd been postponing it for over a year, afraid of the cost. Dr. Peterson was concerned about my weight loss and stress levels, but with proper rest and nutrition, I was slowly getting my strength back. I started volunteering at the community center 3 blocks from my apartment. Every Tuesday and Thursday, I helped serve lunch to seniors who were struggling financially. The irony wasn't lost on me. I was helping people in the exact situation I'd nearly put myself in. Susan, you have such a gift for listening, said Martha, the center coordinator. These folks light up when they see you coming. It felt good to be useful, to be appreciated for who I was rather than what I could provide financially. Some of the people I served reminded me of myself. Parents who had given everything to their children, only to find themselves forgotten and struggling in their golden years. One afternoon, I was sharing my story with a group of women during our weekly support circle. I thought I was being a good mother, I said, my voice steady now when talking about Jessica. But I was actually enabling my daughter to become someone neither she nor I could be proud of. Agnes, a lovely woman in her 70s, nodded knowingly. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is say no, dear. It's a hard lesson for us mothers to learn. David visited me twice during those 3 months, flying in from Vancouver. Mom, you look healthier than I've seen you in years, he said during his second visit. Your face has color again, and you're not carrying that worried look you had before. I sleep better at night, I admitted. I'm not constantly waiting for the phone to ring with another crisis. Any word from Jessica? Nothing. But I think about Emma every day. She'll come around, Mom. When the money runs out, she'll come around. He was right. On a rainy Thursday evening in November, my phone rang. Jessica's name appeared on the screen, and my heart skipped a beat. Mom. Her voice was small, different from the angry tone I'd heard 3 months ago. Hello, Jessica. Mom, we need to talk. Can I come over? Of course. When Jessica arrived, she looked different too. Her expensive clothes were replaced with simple jeans and a sweater. Her hair was pulled back in a ponytail instead of professionally styled. She looked younger, more like the daughter I remembered from years ago. I came to apologize, she said, sitting on the edge of my couch like she was ready to flee at any moment. I'm listening. Brandon left me last month. He said he couldn't live with the lies anymore, and that he couldn't respect someone who would take advantage of their own mother the way I did. I felt a pang of sadness, not for their marriage ending, but for the pain I could see in my daughter's eyes. I had to get a job, Mom. A real job. I'm working at a daycare center, and it's actually hard work. I come home exhausted every day, and I have to budget every dollar, and I finally understand what you were trying to teach me. How's Emma? She's good. She's walking now, and she says Mama and Dada, though Brandon only gets to see her on weekends. Jessica's voice cracked. Mom, I've been such a terrible daughter. I can't believe the things I said to you, the way I treated you. Jessica, I love you. I always have, and I always will. But I can't go back to the way things were. I know. I don't want to go back either. I want to earn your respect again. I want Emma to be proud of her mother. If this story moved you, click on the next video that's appearing on the screen now. We talked for 2 hours that night. Jessica told me about her struggles, about learning to budget, about the humbling experience of having to ask for help from social services when she couldn't make ends meet. But there was something in her voice I hadn't heard in years: determination. Would you like to see Emma? She asked as she was leaving. More than anything. But Jessica, I won't be your emergency fund anymore. I know, Mom. And I don't want you to be. I want you to be my mother again, not my bank account. 6 months later, Jessica brings Emma to visit every Sunday. We make lunch together in my small kitchen, and Emma toddles around my apartment, bringing joy and laughter back into my life. Jessica pays her own rent now, and while she struggles sometimes, she's learning the satisfaction that comes from earning her own way. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give someone you love is the opportunity to discover their own strength. I almost lost my daughter by giving her everything she wanted. I found her again by teaching her what she actually needed. The woman I see in the mirror now is someone I can respect, a mother who loved enough to say no, a grandmother who chose dignity over desperation, and a person who finally learned that her worth wasn't measured by her bank account. That woman looks back at me with clear blue eyes and a peaceful heart, and for the first time in years, I'm proud of who I see. If this story moved you, click on the next video that's appearing on the screen now. So you'll listen to another tense and emotional story of more brave women out there to inspire you to live as the best you can.